So, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us on this fireside chat. My name is Patrick Pheasant, and I'm Head of Education Partnerships for Australia and New Zealand for LanguageCert. And I'm delighted to be joined by Leda Lampropoulou today, who's the Research Manager at LanguageCert. Hi, Leda. How are you doing?
Hi, Patrick. Very nice to be joining you today. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always lovely to be talking to you. So, a different perspective today.
Yeah, and Leda, we're so excited to have you visit Australia. So, for our viewers, Leda will be coming to Australia in a couple of weeks in August, and she's going to be presenting at our launch events in Melbourne on August the 20th and in Sydney on August the 21st. And will be participating in a panel at the English Australia Conference in Brisbane on August the 28th. So, we're delighted to have Leda join us here in Australia, down under. I think it's your first trip down under, isn't it, Leda?
Yes, yes, indeed. I only came a little close to Australia last month when I visited Thailand for the International Language Testing Association. So
Okay.
yes, I'm well prepared for the trip and the traveling, but I am very much looking forward and very excited to be meeting you in Australia and in those beautiful cities that I've always wanted to visit myself. So Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. So it's going to be quite a trip.
We're excited about having you as well, and excited about having an expert in research and in test research join us. So we're just going to jump into some questions. Yeah, look, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Leda? You know, what you do at LanguageCert and your background.
Sure, yes. So I've been with LanguageCert for the past 7 years. My background is in language acquisition, second language acquisition, and assessment development for the past 15 years. But for the past 7 years, I've been working with LanguageCert on the development of assessments, more specifically and more on speaking assessments and developing speaking tasks, monitoring examiners, and having a look at the behind the scenes of operational things that happen. But the past 2 years have been more on the research aspect of the assessment. So I never thought that was going to be my future, but I do enjoy very much looking into the numbers and the figures and the post-performance analysis of our exams. But we're also lucky to be able to contribute with to large-scale projects such as the concordance study that we recently completed, standard setting with frameworks such as the CEFR and the CLP. So I think, lucky to be able to dip my fingers into different kinds of projects. Many of them are very crucial for the day-to-day operation of our exams and how they are validated internally, and we feed back to the assessment development team. But also we can see how large-scale projects shape and have they span more into the years, and we are lucky when we finally see the completion of it.
And I know your team's been working very hard on some very big projects. And so LanguageCert Academic is a new test to Australia and New Zealand. So, we're very excited that we've signed a contract with the Department of Home Affairs. So it's a relatively new test. So people don't really know too much about it in Australia. Did you just want to kind of tell us a little bit about how the LanguageCert Academic scoring works?
Yes, I understand that in Australia it's a relatively new test, and it doesn't go back dozens of years, but the research behind it has started years before it was officially launched, and of course the signature of the collaboration. But there are many things that need to be confirmed, put in place, tested and retested, and quality assured before a test is finally operational, piloted. There is, however, the backbone of the test that has to be its construct and its purpose, what it assesses. but also the scale that it measures with. So our two tests, LanguageCert Academic and LanguageCert General, that form the LanguageCert system, but also our LanguageCert test of English, all share the same global scale, the LanguageCert global scale. So that's a 100-point scale. It spans across the 6 separate levels. So LanguageCert Academic maps to B1 to C2 separate levels from the scale of 60 or 40 to 100 points. And there are different kinds of processes that need to be followed so that we know that each of our exam maps consistently and accurately on that scale, the score that we deliver and certify our test takers. But also this scale needs to be internally and externally validated so that we know that what we certify is a robust result, but also the institutions and the governments and all the regulators that regulate and trust the results know that they can trust them because we don't just say it, but there is also evidence based on everything that we do.
And it's a very granular scale, isn't it? So it's quite different to some of the scales or tests that people are used to in Australia. So that's good to know. It's very kind of fine and granular there.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yes, we use the 100-point scale, and it's much more fine-grained, as you say. Yes, exactly.
And so the concordance study that was recently done with IELTS, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know it was such a large concordance study with a large amount of participants.
Yes, certainly, for sure. So we conducted a concordance study, which actually means that we asked and recruited test takers to take both the LanguageCert Academic exam and the IELTS Academic exam within a specific amount of time. And when test takers took both the tests, we then analyzed the results and formed a nice table with the results and how they map, how LanguageCert Academic scores map to IELTS Academic scores and vice versa, which is a very simple way to put it. What happened in reality was that this was a study that spanned for over 3 years, and we abided by very strong principles of good practice, aiming for best practice in every instance. So we had more than 1,000 test takers taking both tests. In a counterbalanced order, which means that they have had to take one test first and then the other test, and then the order had to be reversed so that we don't have any effect of one test onto the other. We collaborated with Krella and Dr. Tony Green and Dr. Jonathan Jones as part of our commitment to transparency and openness to external validation. So we collected the results. We only accepted official test statements for IELTS results, and we analyzed everything and came up with the statistical outcomes, which are the tables that map our LanguageCert Academic overall scores to IELTS Academic overall scores, but also tables for each skill, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, and how the scores from the two tests have been statistically aligned based on the very robust study. It's been quite a process, but
and congratulations.
Thank you. It's been very carefully planned and executed. So we're very, very proud to be able to have very recently published the full report. I think it's online, and a summary is going up very, very soon as well. It might have already been up there, actually.
And so for institutions in Australia thinking about setting their scores and, of course, adding LanguageCert Academic to their equivalency tables that they publish for their students, what would be your advice on, how to go about doing that?
That's a complicated question, I think, for our chat. But I'm happy to be exploring that in our launch events in Sydney and Melbourne, and something along those lines in the English Australia conference, where we'll have the pleasure to be discussing this all together. But my main personal recommendation is that the concordance table is the beginning and a very good beginning, but it's not the full answer. So I do think that institutions and test users in general need to first think of their own starting point and how they want to use the test, why they want to be using a test, and if they ideally know their courses and their programs and what they need their admission students to be able to do with the English proficiency they need, then they can set the scores they need when they know the test very well, when they know what they require, even if that's a CEFR level or the regulator's requirement and recommendation based on a specific visa level, an equivalent to another widely used test that they've been more familiar with the scoring, so they just want to use an equivalent score. But my main recommendation would be to know the test that they want to use well first, because tests can claim to be equivalent or they can statistically actually map to each other. But if we want to use a test for an academic purpose, for academic purposes in general, then we need to make sure that the test actually elicits these competencies and certifies what needs to be certified, so that they can trust the results instead of going just for the table, which is a legitimate approach for sure. If you just want to set the score, just take the table and set them. You will not be disappointed. But I would personally go for best practice every time. So know your course, get advice from the test provider who knows their test even better, and revise regularly if possible. Get an idea of how this has worked for some years, for some time, and then revise. Don't stay put at your requirements just because they're set that way.
And all very good advice, I think. And we are so excited about having you come and present about the concordance and also about approaches to setting test scores for institutions. And you'll be joining a panel at English Australia with Pamela Humphreys and Simon Weintraub and myself. So to our readers, please, and our listeners, please come along to our launch events again. Launch event in Melbourne on August the 20th, Sydney on August the 21st. Leda will be presenting there, and also at the English Australia Conference at the Roundtable on August 28th in Brisbane. Well, Leda, that's it for our Fireside chat. Thank you so much. It's been great to talk to you, and I can't wait to welcome you to Australia, and I'm sure our viewers were really excited about coming and seeing you at our launch event. So thanks once again, Leda. See you soon.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you so much. Thank you.